Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon and I serve as your host. You see, today we have an empty stage. Here at Ventura Adult Continuing Education, there's a remarkable set of experiences that can occur. You can do back office, front office medicine. You can learn how to make three-dimensional hands and printing. And one of the things that's available too is hear what happens in the studio. We have with us today Karen Carlson. She's been with us before. And really the point that she made to me as she stayed with us working on a movie script for herself is how important it is for everybody to stand behind the lights, to get a feel if you're a script girl, for you to get a feel if you're going to be doing lights or sound. And so today we have that rare and thrilling privilege of having Karen Carlson join us and some of the students here from VACE as they learn what it's like behind the lights.
Okay, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
I know Sharon, Bob.
No, Joe.
Joe.
Yes, Joe.
See, right off the top.
Yeah.
And Chad.
Yes.
All right. First of all, you need to know that for me, this is so not what I do anymore. This is throwing me back to when I first started in the business and I did commercials. Because everything was about timing, everything was precise, the language was precise. I was not the product. This was the product, and I had to then do everything I could to sell this product within the framework of what had been done, the way to turn, everything. Okay, I went off to New York and studied hard to unlearn all of that because it's very confining. Let me just say that when I teach a workshop, which I have been doing off and on for about 5 years, first of all, I didn't think I knew enough to teach anybody anything because I am still learning so much myself. Every day I learn something. I learned something from you today. So I went off to unlearn all that, and it taught me that to be in the film business, you have to be flexible and you have to learn. But first you have to know, what is it you want to do? What is it in this business that you really want to do? When I teach a workshop, right now I'm geared toward actors because that's who has come to me and said, where do we start? We have no technique. And I don't care what you do in terms whether it's theater. I heard you say you've done theater. There's technique. You know, there's just needs to be. The aspects of being in the film business do not all have to be an actor. There are so many options. So in my opinion, what you first need to know is what excites me. Not just what interests me, but what excites me. I'd like to know.
I am just getting started in the industry, and I have started out with script supervisor. And I had gone to a couple of sitcoms and just was amazed at the director and his role and how he is among everybody and how he reacts and changes everything and stuff. And so being a script supervisor, I'm actually working right next to the film maker, or the film guy and the director, and right in everything. I mean, I can't let anything get past me. So I think this is probably the best way to get thrown into it. So this is actually very interesting to me.
Okay. And can you see that you might want to do something, I mean, okay, script supervisor, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important. If I'm the director, I want to know that I've got a cinematographer that is on the same page that I am, and I want to know that I've got a script supervisor who is on top of absolutely everything that's going on that set. Everything. And the actors are really dependent on you. If I am now as an actor, And I have a scene that involves, I've got to eat a dinner, and I've got to be natural and do and have a conversation. I've got to remember when I set this glass down. That is my responsibility as an actor, to remember absolutely everything I've done, and it's not that when the director says to you, okay, let's go again, it doesn't mean try and do everything you just did exactly as you did it. But as the actor, if I take a drink and that's good timing for a line, then that's probably naturally going to happen through me as an actor. But maybe I set the glass a little over here the first time, and that's the shot that they're going to possibly use. And now they're on my close-up, and I've set it over here. If I know that I can depend on you as a script supervisor to catch those little things, you are my best friend, except the cinematographer, because I need him to light me really good. All right, I'd like to thank you, because this is I'm learning as much today as you, because I'm trying to stay on track. I had to make notes for myself, because when I do a workshop, it's wide open. There are no cameras, no anything, no recording, and nobody is allowed to come in as an observer. It is a safe space, because we're exploring parts of ourselves that we're not allowed to do usually by society. You know, it might mean we're a little crazy or something. Okay, you've had some theater training.
Yes, I have. I originally was inspired by watching, as a kid, James Bond and the Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood movies, and that fascinated me with the whole world that interested me. So I started reading up on books, on movie making and everything, and then when I was a little older, my parents had a small Super 8 camera, and we used to make backyard movies with the neighborhood kids, and I was the director. My mom was the camera person. And we made about like 5 to about 8 little movies there, and we'd have the screening in our living room, and all the kids would come watch it and everything like that. We had popcorn. And then years passed by, then I got into theater, because I've always wanted to do something related to it, but in high school I kind of put it off, because I kind of just became distracted. But after I went to Stella Adler Conservatory, studied there, and after that I started doing theater. In LA, yeah.
In LA?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right.
And then from there, once I graduated there, then I went out into the theater world, started auditioning and casting directors, agents, the whole process, hitting the pavement, taking naps in my cars between auditions and things like that. And with the lack of opportunity for, I guess, my type, because my type, I got a lot of calls for drug dealers, gangbangers, and a lot of negative type, and I got frustrated with that. But I was continuing to do theater. I was with a theater group in LA also, but I decided, you know what, I wanted to have a little more control. So I started to study film production, because I wanted to not wait for that phone anymore. I wanted to be the ones to make the calls for the phone for other people and have a little more, you know, take charge kind of a thing. So I started learning a little bit about film. I went to LACC for a little while, for just a few months, but I had a job and I couldn't continue to study. But I kept learning on my own through books. And then I did some TV work, some film work, and then I did a lot of extra work also. And I learned a lot on the sets. I learned watching the other actors. I learned watching the directors. The whole thing of just the way they put it all together, and especially the union crews. I mean, they were just right on it.
Okay.
They were just
So you've
intense.
just pretty much done this whole segment, because really, that's what it's about. And Chad, you were talking about an experience you had, what, last week? Yeah. Would you share just a bit with us?
About last week's production?
Well, yeah, but
So I've lost my hearing, and I have the opportunity to make films with my hearing companies, Cochlear and Resound, and they were out here actually at our school filming me for the second time, so that I can make these videos to be able to reach out to the world and teach people to hear again.
right. But what were you doing? You were working.
I was acting in it, so I was doing the acting part of it. And that was the first time I was on this side of the camera. And but this year I actually had the opportunity to work on a feature film, and I got to work with the DP the whole time, and I got to see how he brought the whole essence to life. You know, I could see where he captured the actors and actresses out there doing their job.
Right.
And it was just such an amazing thing.
All right, well, okay, so I have a question. Nate's on camera for us here. I need to know, I want to know, I don't need to know, but I would like to know. I'm always curious, because this is more, for me, this is about you all. You're obviously becoming very familiar with a camera. What is your ultimate goal? What do you wish to do when you leave here?
Well, truth is, I'm trying to not be so focused, because I know that at least if your goal is to be somewhere at the top of the production pyramid, I know having as many skills and as much experience in all the different other fields and subsets of skills is probably going to be the biggest help. So if, say, my goal was to be a director, I think I would accept just about any position on a film set, probably with the exception of a production assistant, because it's just a little too easy to fall into that trap. You know, they say production assistants, it's like a thing where you're getting experience, but it's not experience that can move you to another, it's
like playing the little room in Vegas. If you never cross over, if you never get out of the little room to the big room.
Actually, I've recently found out production assistants aren't union hired because of that.
True.
It's one of the reasons, I think. So.
True. However, if Spielberg said, "Oh, would you do PA for me?" What are you gonna say?
I would probably say yes.
Good for you, because that's just to even be around on that level,
that's
in
really
that
what it's
atmosphere.
about, yeah.
And the people that you meet, but what you do is you do it very quietly. You learn everything you can. You take notes constantly. You take names and numbers, and you just kind of let them know the ones that, oh, I'm interested in.
Right.
Or I have training in. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
you just try to be.
All right, this is really my whole point in this segment, is that flexibility. It's good if no matter, okay, so I printed one out, so I won't hand them to you right now, because I really had no idea. I rarely have boundaries unless I'm working on a specific project and the director gives me boundaries, but I have no boundaries, so I was wide open for whatever this presented. Obviously, this is not my forte. However, because I didn't know, are you open to researching? There's nothing you can't find online. If you know what you're passionate about, if you know what you're interested in and what excites you, research it. Find out everything you can about it. And this is simply a site that's the free Wikipedia on film crew. It's absolutely every single, right up to line producer, which let me tell you, you don't want to be line producer. Okay, and the reason I think that's so important is, and I'll give you each, it was a little research I did on your behalf. The more knowledge you have in all areas, the better equipped you are to recognize when you're getting an opportunity that might not come again, and it might not be in that thing you've been studying for 10 years, but it will open the door to something else. And this school is, this school is giving you the opportunity of presenting doors. And once you leave here, then you've got to have the curiosity, the tenacity to pursue it on your own and keep going. And never, 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 never stop learning. My opinion is that taking an acting class is a great experience for everybody, including, well, maybe not. I won't throw executives in there. If acting is not easy, and as a crew member, if you can, the more that you can understand what that actor has to do in order to fulfill the wishes of the writer, fulfill the wishes of the director, try and not, pull off a performance that, there's no subtitle down here, I just wasn't feeling it. So it's a huge responsibility, because you really, it's like the director is the painter and the colors are the actors, and the script is the vehicle for which to display all those colors and emotions and the story. So as an actor, again, this is me personally. I know a lot of actors maybe don't feel that way today, but for me, I was more interested in spending time with the crew members than I was with the other actors. Number one, I don't care what motivated you to get that moment. That's your moment. That's your private thing. I don't want the burden of knowing that. But I want to know what. So if you're on camera and you're lighting me, what lens is the best lens? I want to know those things, because I want to learn, because why? All right. The business has evolved today. To me, I came from 35 millimeter, all right? And I was thrown into the digital world in 2007. 1997 to 2007, I left the business, period. Closed the door, didn't watch movies, didn't have gave my televisions away. I had nothing to do with the business. However, I'm a member of the Academy, so the movies kept coming, because you watch the movies to vote. So the movies kept coming, and I just stuck them in a shelf. And then in 2007, because my life had once again taken a different course, I had the opportunity to work with someone on a grassroots level. And that was exciting to me. It was in Tennessee. And it was exciting because they had a good script, was a good story, but they didn't know what the heck they were doing. So my deal was that, yes, I will come in and replace an actress that I highly respected. She had personal issues. I will come in and do that. But what I really want to do is assist in the production of it. I wanted to use the skills and the things that I had learned all those 40 plus years in front of a camera, but on my own behind the camera. I wanted to help put somebody else's vision on screen. And we actually did it. And I mean, when I say grassroots, there was one day that I was ironing wardrobe because we had a court scene, and everybody, oops, oh, the shirts don't look so good. One day everyone was so tired of eating McDonald's on a budget, so I went home and made a huge cauldron of stew and chili and whatever to feed the crew. Now, it all paid off. I met some wonderful contacts and people, and I learned the digital world, which at first, now people my age, a lot of actors my age, they are not open to learning it. It's a world that our world has passed us by, and they're not willing to learn it. But you see, here's the thing. What is my dream? To put a vision on screen. It's my vision of something that somebody else has written. So that's a huge responsibility, but it's a dream I've had since I was a kid. So I'm hoping to attain it. And what do I want? I want a good, strong crew. I want to know that my DP and I are on the very same page. I want to know that my script is going to be right there. We're married, We're going to be married. I want to know, since I'll be directing, and I have done some directing, but I've never directed a pretty big feature. I'm actually looking into co-directing it with another woman that I've known since 1980 something, because she's in the business out here. I am not anymore. I'm grassroots. I know how to get things done without having to have 2,400 crew members. And her world is this world out here. It's a tougher world out here. It really is. But see, here's what's exciting to me about this. Okay, I've only got 4 minutes. Because of that digital world now, yes, the experience you've had in getting that camera and going out and shooting, get your own camera. Do you have one, Nate? Just yes or no? Nate says yes. This is good. Because there's nothing you can't do now. If you have the story, if you have the idea, you can put it out there. You can get it out there. All right. Knowledge, flexibility, networking. Really network.
That's key.
It's so key. And when they discover that you actually know what you're doing, oh wow, that just moves you up a big notch. And I would say then really honestly recognizing the opportunity, seeing if you have the chance to just go for it. Yeah, it might not quite be on that level you're wanting to be there yet, but that's okay. That's okay. Because eventually you'll get there because you have the drive, the flexibility, and the curiosity. And the heart. See, for me out here, one of the things that's really missing, it makes me sad, so I don't talk about it much, is the heart that was in the business when I was up and in it, was phenomenal. Yes, it was a business, and that's the first and foremost you have to remember. If somebody is going to pay money to hire you, you better sure as heck know what you're doing, because it's a business, and if you cost them, you're out. And unfortunately, you don't get as much of a second chance anymore. So you kind of have to create your own chances. Do you have a question?
1,000 questions.
That's okay.
My question would be, if you're starting out, we already know that you should be flexible. Mm-hmm. We should be, willing to do whatever we can.
Starting out in what capacity?
Well, I work in, behind the camera, so like you're getting ready to do directing. What would you say to me as a cinematographer to think of first when I first start shooting actors?
I would say, well, first of all, learn your actor. Let's say you got the job as a cinematographer.
Yes.
Okay, learn your actress.
Yeah.
Know which side, they have little peculiarities,
Yeah.
hard to say. Streisand was a great example. You could only shoot her from one side. She might give you a quick, but, and so her lighting, that was very important. Camera was very important, oh my goodness. So I would say know your actors, know your director. Ingmar Bergman had the same crew for all the films he shot because they knew him, they knew the look that he wanted, they could second guess him, and it was a family, and they moved film to film.
Right.
A quick question.
This actually is more a question directed towards you, your experience.
Right.
Back when it was film and everything at that point, obviously they were more concerned about burning reel, as now everything is digital. When you were working, did you have a lot of flexibility yourself as to be able to improvise or do your own interpretation of something? Like, for example, let's say the director has something in mind, but you want to try something as well on your own.
Depends on the relationship with the director. You have to, as an actor, you have to establish a relationship so that you trust them and they trust you.
Right.
And if there's the time element is really major in that.
Right.
You have to have enough time to say, could we try that one more time, and may I, but quietly to the side.
Right.
ask their permission if you could try something a little different. And guess what? If it works, they get credit for it.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, it's a win-win situation.
Right, because that's what I do for when I direct. I let the actors know that they can improvise, but I want to do my vision first,
Right.
and let them,
Right.
if they have any ideas that
Okay,
come
well,
upon them.
we're into a whole other world there when you're talking
Right.
about improvisation on
Right.
film, and maybe we'll touch on that in the second
Okay.
segment.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting to fist over there. You
Oh,
know what
okay.
that means? 4, 3, 2, 1.
As you can see, the stage is empty behind me. We've already been through one lesson with Karen Carlson. That lesson is really what it's like to be behind the lights. Well, I'm so proud of what happens here at Ventura Adult Continuing Education. You've seen what can happen as we start looking at acting, but also all the things that happen behind an actor's workshop, the script girl, how lighting occurs, sound. Ventura, it's time for you to get here to Ventura Adult Continuing Education. Come on, get moving.